In the twilight of his life, Jacob Montgomery was a man shrouded in silence, his life marked by the harrowing battles he fought in distant lands. The years had turned his hair gray and his hands calloused, but it was his eyes that spoke volumes, etched with the haunting memories of a war that had claimed more than just his youth. Jacob had returned from the war with a heavy heart, burdened not only by the lives he had taken, but also by the lives he could not save. The small town of Pine Ridge, nestled between rolling hills and whispering pines, was his sanctuary, a place where he sought solace in the mundane and the ordinary. Yet, even here in the quiet and solitude, the echoes of gunfire and the cries of his fallen comrades were never far away. His days were spent in the company of his loyal dog Max and the townsfolk who knew him as the stoic war hero. Jacob was a man of few words, but his presence commanded respect and admiration. The local diner was his regular haunt, where he would sit by the window nursing a cup of black coffee, lost in thought. It was on one such evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the town, that Jacob felt a strange sensation, a warmth that spread from his heart, filling him with an unexplainable peace. He closed his eyes, and in that moment, he saw a figure bathed in radiant light. "Jacob Montgomery," a voice called out, gentle yet firm. Jacob's eyes fluttered open, and there stood a man clad in simple robes with eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of the ages. It was a presence Jacob could not mistake, Jesus Christ, standing before him. "Lord," Jacob whispered, falling to his knees. Tears streamed down his weathered face as he felt an overwhelming sense of love and forgiveness. "Rise, my son," Jesus said, extending a hand. "You have carried a heavy burden for too long." Jacob hesitated, his mind racing with questions, but he took the offered hand. As he stood, he felt a surge of strength, as if years of sorrow were being lifted from his shoulders. "Why have you come to me, Lord?" Jacob asked, his voice trembling. "I have come to bring you peace," Jesus replied, his voice soothing. "Your time on this earth is drawing to a close, but you have one final mission." Jacob's heart pounded in his chest. "What is it, Lord?" "War is coming once again," Jesus said, his expression somber. "A conflict that will shape the destiny of nations. You must warn them, prepare them for what lies ahead." A shiver ran down Jacob's spine. When will it happen? Jesus placed a hand on Jacob's shoulder. "In the years to come, when the world is on the brink of despair. But remember, my son, even in the darkest times, there is always hope." With that, the vision began to fade, and Jacob found himself back in the diner, the warmth of the setting sun casting long shadows across the floor. He blinked, trying to make sense of what had just transpired. The weight of the revelation pressed heavily on his heart. As the days turned into weeks, Jacob knew he had to fulfill his mission. He began to share his experience with the townsfolk, urging them to prepare for the coming storm. Some listened, believing in the wisdom of the old veteran, while others dismissed his words as the ramblings of a man haunted by the past. But Jacob remained steadfast, driven by a purpose that transcended his own life. He knew that his time was limited, but he also knew that he had been chosen for a reason. With each passing day, he felt a growing sense of urgency, a call to action that could not be ignored. And so, the veteran who had once fought on foreign soil found himself waging a new kind of battle. A battle for the hearts and minds of his fellow men, to prepare them for a future that only he had glimpsed. Jacob's mission to warn the townsfolk was met with mixed reactions. As the weeks turned into months, a palpable tension began to settle over Pine Ridge. Some heeded his warnings, preparing themselves for the uncertain future, while others clung to their disbelief, dismissing his visions as the ravings of an old man. Among those who believed was Emma Johnson, a single mother of two who had lost her husband in the war. She had seen the pain in Jacob's eyes, the sincerity in his voice, and knew that he spoke the truth. Together, They began to gather a small group of like-minded individuals, determined to spread the message far and wide. The group, though small, was determined and resourceful. They organized meetings at the community center, where Jacob would recount his vision and share his insights on how to prepare. They gathered supplies, stockpiled food, and set up a network of communication that extended beyond the borders of Pine Ridge. As word of Jacob's vision spread, neighboring towns began to take notice. Some were receptive, joining the effort to prepare for the coming storm, while others remained skeptical. Jacob's message was met with resistance from those who feared the unknown, who clung to the comfort of their routines and the safety of denial. Despite the challenges, Jacob remained resolute. He spent his days mentoring the group, sharing his wisdom and experiences from the war. He taught them about survival, resilience, and the importance of hope. He emphasized the need for unity, for standing together in the face of adversity. The bond between Jacob and Emma grew stronger with each passing day. They found solace in each other's presence, a shared understanding of the pain and loss that had shaped their lives. Emma's children, Sarah and Ethan, looked up to Jacob as a father figure, finding comfort in his stories and guidance. As the months turned into years, the world outside Pine Ridge began to change. Political tensions escalated, economies faltered, and the whispers of war grew louder. Jacob's vision of a looming conflict seemed to draw closer with each passing day. One fateful evening, as Jacob sat by the window of the diner, a familiar warmth spread through his heart. He closed his eyes, and once again, he found himself in the presence of Jesus. "Jacob," Jesus said, his voice gentle yet urgent. "The time is near. The world stands on the brink of war." Jacob's heart raced. "What must we do, Lord?" "Continue to prepare, my son," Jesus replied. "Strengthen your bonds, fortify your defenses, and above all, hold fast to hope. For in the darkest of times, it is hope that will guide you." As the vision faded, Jacob opened his eyes, a renewed sense of purpose filling his soul. He knew that the path ahead would be fraught with challenges, but he also knew that they were not alone. They had each other, and they had the strength of their convictions. With a determined resolve, Jacob returned to the community center, where Emma and the group awaited his guidance. He shared his vision with them, urging them to continue their preparations with renewed vigor. The days that followed were a whirlwind of activity. The group worked tirelessly, reinforcing their homes, stockpiling supplies, and strengthening their network of communication. They reached out to neighboring towns, offering their support and guidance. As the world outside Pine Ridge descended into chaos, the small town stood as a beacon of hope and resilience. Jacob's vision had united them, forged a bond that transcended fear and uncertainty. And so, as the storm clouds of war gathered on the horizon, the people of Pine Ridge stood ready, their hearts filled with a sense of purpose and hope. They knew that the road ahead would be difficult, but they also knew that they were prepared to face whatever came their way. The day finally came when the distant rumblings of war grew into a deafening roar. The world outside Pine Ridge was plunged into chaos as nations clashed and the specter of conflict loomed large. The townsfolk, guided by Jacob's vision, had fortified their homes and steeled their hearts, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Jacob stood at the center of the community, surrounded by the people who had become his family. His heart swelled with pride as he looked at their determined faces, each one a testament to the strength of the human spirit. He knew that they were prepared, that they had the resilience and the unity to withstand the coming storm. As the first signs of war reached Pine Ridge, the town sprang into action. Emma, now a trusted leader, coordinated their efforts with precision and grace. Supplies were distributed, defenses were reinforced, and the communication network they had established became a lifeline for the surrounding areas. Despite the fear and uncertainty, the people of Pine Ridge found solace in each other. They held on to the hope that Jacob had instilled in them, a hope that burned brightly even in the darkest of times. Families huddled together, sharing stories and laughter, finding strength in their unity. As the conflict raged on, Pine Ridge became a beacon of hope for those seeking refuge. People from neighboring towns, driven from their homes by the ravages of war, flocked to the small town, drawn by the promise of safety and solidarity. Jacob welcomed them with open arms, his heart filled with compassion and determination. Weeks turned into months, and the war showed no signs of abating. The town faced countless challenges, from dwindling supplies to the ever-present threat of violence. Yet through it all they remained steadfast, their spirits unbroken. One fateful night, as the town huddled together in the community center, seeking refuge from the chaos outside, Jacob felt that familiar warmth once more. He closed his eyes, and in that moment he was once again in the presence of Jesus. "My son," Jesus said, his voice filled with love and compassion, "you have done well. Your efforts have saved many lives and brought hope to those in need." Jacob's heart swelled with gratitude. "Thank you, Lord. But what now? How do we find peace in a world torn apart by war?" "Peace begins within," Jesus replied. "You have shown the world that even in the darkest of times, love and compassion can prevail. Continue to lead by example and trust that hope will guide you." As the vision faded, Jacob opened his eyes to find Emma standing beside him, her hand resting gently on his shoulder. She had become his rock, a source of strength and inspiration. Together they faced the challenges ahead with unwavering resolve. As the war raged on, Pine Ridge became a symbol of hope and resilience. The town's unity and determination inspired others to stand together, to find strength in their shared humanity. Jacob's vision had brought them together, forging a bond that transcended fear and uncertainty. In the end, it was not the walls they had built or the supplies they had stockpiled that saw them through the storm. It was their unwavering hope, their compassion for one another, and their belief in a better future. Jacob Montgomery, the war veteran who had once been haunted by the past, had found redemption in the love and unity of his community. And as the world slowly began to heal, the people of Pine Ridge stood as a testament to the power of hope and the strength of the human spirit.